everyone, Rascal here.
And Mama, welcome to our channel, Paws On Animation.
Today's podcast, we're covering the Korean zombie movie, no joke, Train to Busan.
And this is one I've been wanting to see and talk about for a very long time.
That's shocking.
Shock! So this movie shows a divorced dad taking his daughter to Busan to see her mom, only to find out that the country is rapidly being taken over by zombies.
Yeah, the actual thing, yeah.
And leaving the train passengers to fend for themselves until they get to the safe zone in Busan.
Mm-hmm.
Safe zone.
Well, before we start, be sure to like, subscribe, notifications in future podcasts, and Little Paws videos.
Yes, and thank you for joining us. Thank you for subscribing and supporting us. We really appreciate you very much.
Yes.
So, this is the perfect start to Spooktober.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is actually, as we mentioned, a Korean film directed by Young Sang-ho and written by Park Jun-suk. And we actually began watching it subbed, and then we switched to dub.
Yeah.
So it's available on Prime and Tubi, I think.
Mm-hmm. And possibly Freebie.
Right. So this film premiered in the midnight screenings in 2016 at the Cannes Film Festival.
Mm-hmm.
And it set a record as the first Korean film of 2016 to break the audience record of over 10 million theater goers.
Oh, wow.
And I had it recommended to me by people online, as well as by some books that I've read, like where the authors are actually Korean, and say, if you've never seen this, you need to see it. So we've been making a list of K-dramas and K-comedies and movies.
Right.
This was at the top of the list because, again, I heard that it was so good, and we finally got to watch it.
Right.
And it doesn't disappoint. How well does it not disappoint? There was a budget of $8.5 million.
Wow.
And it earned $98.5 million at the box office.
Oh, wow. Just when you thought they'd make those types of movies anymore. They had to spend $500 million to make one film. And another thing is that the movie really isn't that long. It's not even 2 hours. I think it's maybe slightly over an hour and a half, right?
118 minutes, I'm sorry.
Okay, so it's close to 2 hours.
Right.
But it really doesn't feel like you're watching it that long once you get started. It starts off a little calm, and they start growing the tension very, very slowly, like within the first 10 minutes of the movie. Like within the time frame, you see a deer gets hit by a car, and then it gets right back up like nothing happened. And then eerily, we saw something like that happen for real life, and it's like, oh gosh, please don't turn into this.
And you see SOFHAB as a fund manager in his office. But the majority of the movie takes place on a KTX traveling from Seoul to Busan.
Right. And it seems a lot of these train-based movies do pretty well for
Bullet
Asia.
Train.
Right? So everyone's like, hey, we gotta do one of those. That's why they made Bullet
Abraham
Train.
Lincoln, Vampire Killer.
Right. Then they made Bullet Train here, and it's like, what?
Yeah, it's kind of a different movie. We kind of started and kind of let go. But this one here, we stayed through it all the way.
Right. And like I said, it builds up the tension and the drama, and really there is horror in it, but it's not really, really gratuitous to a point where you can get squeamish watching it. It's not just for shock value, it's more of like you're a little panicky of what's going to happen to the characters, because it starts off with one, you see some stuff here and there, and then as the movie goes on, you're seeing more and more showing up, to the point they're taking over regions and cities and buildings, to a point where the entire country's infested.
Right.
And they don't ever really explain if it's only in Korea or is this happening globally. They kind of just keep it focused on this area alone.
Now, what we've noticed is that when you see American zombie movies, films or series like The Walking Dead and older zombie movies, the zombies always slow and take forever to get where they have to go. When you watch Asian zombie movies or animes like Zom 100 and this, they move fast. They speed up. They get to them fast and they bite them fast. Now, I don't know if it's because they think Americans are slow,
right,
and fast, or it's just more exciting writing it this way. But yeah, it's crazy. These zombies are super fast, and like other zombies, they go by sound and movement. They can't see, but man, it got crazy. This movie was absolutely
Right.
graphic and crazy. But the thing about it is, it's not just a slaughter fest
Right.
or a zombie fest. It's really interesting.
Yeah.
How they managed to do it, I don't know, but it keeps you interested. And even though you meet, I guess you would say, the two main characters, Sakwoo and his daughter Song Kyung. I'm sorry. Suwon, I'm sorry, because he kept calling her his daughter. She was the pregnant wife of Song Kyung, who helped them later on. But you see he and his daughter, and you really don't meet them long. But it's written so well that you care about whether they make it or not.
Right.
Real early into the movie.
Right.
And then when you start meeting other titular characters like Yoon Sang-hwa and her husband Song Kyung, you care whether they make it.
Movie, yeah.
Then of course you have your resident ASS holes that are in here who are corporate or have a lot of money, and all they care is they make it, and they sacrifice everyone else trying to survive.
Right.
Well, you've got that character in here, and
I think a few high schools are in here too, or at least college.
Cheerleading team.
Oh,
Right. Cheerleading group. And you care about the characters making it out.
Yeah, you do.
Even though you don't know them very long. So I think that was brilliant writing.
Right.
And something that doesn't normally happen within the first 10 minutes. You get invested and you care about the main character.
Right.
So the writing on here is excellent.
Right. And as it progresses, the whole goal is to really get from point A to point B without, getting any zombies on there. But unfortunately, of course, in these types of movies, that doesn't go as planned. So this time around, someone actually sneaks on that's been infected, and they don't know how to get rid of it, and they end up turning on the train. So when someone comes to check on them or tries to get a doctor or something to get them, as they're turning, they end up biting the person, and quickly it goes from person to person. There's no delay in it happening. So it ends up being like this entire race to get to the front of the train and block off the other train cars that have been infected, so they don't come in and get the other passengers, because they're just trying to literally take out the whole train in one go.
And as they're traveling, you hear announcements that they're going to be at the next stop, and then they don't stop, they keep going, and then you look out the windows and you see why, and it gets crazier and crazier. I like to say that the good thing is you had some characters who were not selfish, self-centered, and only care about themselves.
That's true.
Yoon Sang-hwa and Song Kyung. You also had a homeless man who's never identified by name, who helps them all the way until he gets taken out.
Right.
But he gets taken out because he literally sacrifices himself to help save Suwon.
Yes.
So you see a couple of those in here, but for the most part, these people are ruthless. And when they realize what's going on, it's like, don't open the doors, sacrifice those people, get out. We don't know if you're infected, get out. We don't care about the little girl. They didn't care about Suwon. They wanted her out with her daddy and anybody else. It was really interesting to see how they portrayed how it can escalate to where people become unfeeling and uncaring and just worried about themselves. Now, granted, when you see the action, you might kind of empathize, but still you hope there would be some humanity in any type of situation that happens.
Right.
And again, the writer, Joo Suk Park, manages to have humanity within here. You're hoping that the two, Suk-woo and his daughter Suwon are going to make it to the end. You're hoping these people that you end up liking make it to the end. Unfortunately, you start seeing people being taken out one by one.
Yeah.
And for those four main characters, or five I should say, including the homeless man, is because they sacrificed to save someone else.
So without giving the spoilers in case you want to see it, it's a rather bittersweet ending, and rather than see what happens after, you're left just knowing that there are some that do make it out, but you never see the aftermath. You never see what happens to the people. How does this outbreak end, or does the whole world succumb? It just kind of leaves it there, and on the bittersweet note. So it's not like it's unsatisfying. It's just more like you kind of wish there was a little more afterwards, and maybe they said, "Look, we showed you enough. I think it's time to end this movie."
Well, as I did mention to you, I think they were inspired not only by TWD, but also
they made references to it too. Yeah.
Also, Night of the Living Dead.
Mm-hmm.
And if you've ever seen Night of the Living Dead, you know at the end there's one guy who makes it to daylight, and then when he comes out, he actually is speaking. But they don't even listen to him. They just shoot him in the head, throw him in the pile, and he did all that to be killed in the end. And here, the ending is reminiscent of that, but we're not going to spoil it for you. That's not what happens. But you know that's what they're referencing when they start building the image of what may happen at the end of this movie. So we're going to just give a shout out to a few of the cast. We're not familiar with some of them. You may not be either, but we want to give them credit anyway because they did fantastic performance.
Right.
Gong Yu as Suk Woo, Yoon Yu Mi as Seung Kyung, Ma Dong Suk as Yoon Sang Hwa, Kim Suan as Suan, the daughter, Che Woo Shik as Min Young Gook. You were talking about the high school baseball team, not baseball team, and unfortunately they got taken out really quickly.
Yeah.
Che Gui Ha as a homeless man, and then the jerk Kim Wee Sung as Young Suk, the jerk business executive who didn't care whom he ended up having killed just so he could survive. He was a piece of work. And I would say the only part about this movie I did not like is that before, and spoilers here, he got his comeuppance, he still ended up harming one of the main characters before he got taken out. And I did not like that. I wanted him to get his comeuppance. And he didn't win in the end, but
he still got like the last word, last laugh, or something, whatever it is. He got the last thing in where he still made the outcome. You know, he's gone. Yeah.
He still somewhat won, being the jerk that he was, and that's the only thing I wish had been different. About this movie.
And they've been doing that stuff like Sweet Tooth and other movies and shows where. Why do you think the hero wins? The villain gets one last shot in before they die, and they still win in their last breath. And I really don't like that the villain can still win even in their final moments. And it's not poetic. It's more like, you're just being a jerk and wanting the villain to win. Even though it shouldn't be possible, they still like to write it. And I hope it's not a trend that lasts for too long, because that would be unfortunate to follow somebody all through this time and then they're gone because you decide the villain should win anyway.
Right. But again, this movie works because it's well written, even within the confines of the movie and the confines of the action and the storyline. The actors are fantastic. You get invested. It's high energy. You are on the edge of your seat from within the first, as you mentioned, 2 minutes when you see the deer get hit. Spoiler alert. And the deer gets back up. You're like, oh crap, here it comes.
Right.
They didn't waste any time getting involved in the story. So, if you've seen Train to Busan, let us know what you think in the comments below. Did you see it when it originally came out in theaters? Or did you watch it on DVD? Or did you see it on a streaming service? Let us know. If you haven't seen it, as we mentioned, it's available on Prime and Tubi and probably some other places. Give it a watch if you haven't seen it, especially if you love zombie movies. Don't let that originally it was only subbed.
Right.
But now you can see it dubbed. Watch it. It's just like watching an anime, and come back and let us know what you think.
Right. And if y'all want to rate, subscribe for updates and with the video's favorite anime series, anime shows, and all things animation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to follow us on social media sites, Twix, as we call Twitter X, Pinterest, and Instagram. And contact us through the DM. We love to hear from you.
Yes. So, thank you so much for watching. Mask Entertainment.
And Mom Entertainment.
Have a toontastic day.
Peace.